Hi, everyone. My name is Usman, and I'm the founder of Oro. Today, I'll be talking about how we bring gold into the digital age. So, gold's been around for millennia, right? Across every single collapse, across every single empire, it's been present. Um, but somehow, after the 1970s, it lost value. It turned from money, backing the Bretton Woods system, to just a commodity. And what happened over time is that prices kind of remained stable, but a lot of countries divested from the gold reserves. So gold went from being a predominant part of people's portfolios to actually, I think it was around 5-10% of people's companies in people's portfolios to less than 0.5%. But throughout this, it remained the ultimate fallback asset. Any crisis, any situation, people flock to gold. I always think of gold as the original meme coin because, frankly, who decided that this piece of metal has enduring value? But mimetic theory, right? 5,000 years of gold being that asset makes us believe that this is the asset which we turn to whenever there's a problem. And so hence, this year is the perfect example of that. I always think about, people using the coinage for Bitcoin is digital gold, but reality is that gold is gold, right? And we're seeing this enduring value play out real time this year. And it's done well compared to sort of every single major currency. So holding gold basically means that you are beating inflation and you're probably doing better. I mean, USD, EUR, all the major currencies across a 25-year period. And the S&P 500. So actually, holding gold is probably better than participating in the S&P 500. And that's, again, over a 25-year period. And speaking of demand, we've had a change in the White House too, and so there's demand on gold from the White House as well. But the way we access gold and use it is stuck in the past. We're still using it with antiquated pipes that have existed for a while in closed and opaque markets. So we have 20 trillion in total value of this asset, growing, and I suspect this will grow more over the next decade. But the reality is that this asset is stuck in a space with zero capital velocity. You hold this asset, and you really cannot do much with it, right? Can you use it as collateral? Can you sell it easily? Spreads are quite high. And so for an asset which is the most trusted store of value, it is the most inefficient and the most underutilized in financial markets. We see that play real time. In the institutional markets, 80% of institutional flows go through two markets, London and New York. Those markets, however, are closed to most people. They also don't speak to each other. They're not composable with each other. If you wanted to actually get settlement done from the London market, it takes T+2. New York, same. But if you actually wanted same-day settlement, you have to go with a bunch of cash to the exchange. The reality is that there's a lot of trapped capital because markets are fragmented and localized. We saw that play real time this year when there was a surge of demand in New York. And so people were actually shipping physical gold bars from London and from New York, from the UAE to make arbitrage. Retail markets are also inaccessible and fragmented. And contrary to popular wisdom, gold is not really an asset that is as easily accessible. If you live in countries where the local markets are fairly developed, and they're very few and far from them, actually access to the asset is not as easy. And you'll ask me, hey, but there's already tokenized gold, right? But the reality is that I look at that as the first attempt. The existing companies that have gone out and built tokenized gold have really just taken a very much copy-paste, TradFi approach. Hey, here's this asset. Let me just put it on the blockchain. But the reality is that crypto rails allow for assets to be far more valuable and far more productive. And so when I think about existing gold products on chain, they're frankly just wrappers. They give you value to an asset, but can you do much more with it in on chain versus in the Web 2 or TradFi world? Frankly, not. And I think there's a lot to learn from stablecoins, right? When we look at stablecoins, they made the dollar better and allowing for way more use cases, way more utility that were not possible either in the Web 2 world or in the TradFi world. And that's where we think a lot of inspiration should come from any real world asset tokenization. Are we making this asset more valuable and more productive? Are we unlocking use cases and utility which were not possible before? And with stable coins, we see that. They're permissionless, composable, with insane amount of liquidity. And frankly, holding a USDC or USDT is better than holding a digital dollar in your bank account or a US dollar note in cash. And so how do we turn gold into an internet native financial primitive? And it starts from few things. Can we make this asset programmable? Can we make it yield bearing? Can we make it composable? And can we make it globally accessible? And finally, is this asset actually redeemable for the real thing? Because when I think about the existing gold products, they're only redeemable if you have more than $1 million. So how does Oro think about gold? We have two base gold tokens. One is similar to what I would say is a vanilla gold token like Paxos' Tether, one-to-one backed, fully redeemable, vaulted in secure locations with the right amount of third-party transparency. And then we have something special. We have a staked version of a gold token, which allows you to earn yield for the first time on this asset. An asset seen historically as a dead asset, now you're able to earn a yield of almost 3 to 4% APY on top of the appreciation in gold. And both these tokens are composable in DeFi, unlocking insane amounts of utility across different applications. So how do we think about Oro, right? Our predominant aim is let's increase capital velocity for this asset. And for that, we're building the infrastructure stack for gold. And that's starting from the base layer, which is gold custody and issuance, the middle layer, which is building this liquidity infrastructure for this asset, and also through building an API layer, which should allow any neobank or any fintech or any player to offer gold-backed products. And finally, an application layer, which allows for insane amount of applications to be built and use cases which are just not possible in the TradFi world. Our API layer is special. It's a plug and play allowing fintechs and neobanks to provide embedded gold services. And this is key because the reality is if we have to bake this into a big protocol, if we have to generate demand, it has to be from just cannot just be from the existing user base. It has to be from users who are outside of, let's say, specifically on-chain. Our target is pretty simple. I don't care if the user's on-chain or off-chain. I want to go for users who want the access to this asset. And how do we get access to this asset in the best manner for them? Ultimately, it's also about bringing up use cases which were not possible before. We coined this GoldFi, bringing capital markets for gold. And what are the different use cases that we can kind of create? Easy gold-backed stablecoin, easy gold yield, both real and native. Structured products and vaults. Imagine getting access to a vault which gives you access to both Bitcoin and gold. Imagine different yield-bearing gold strategies. Imagine different kind of unlocks and utilities that can happen. And really, that is our aim. Can we make Oro the best place for you to access gold ever? And we believe that's very much possible by building some Solana. Thank you.